pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, approval of minutes. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, changes? Nothing? Move it. Second? Okay, minutes approved. Before we go on, I don't recognize you, and I would love you to let everybody know to whom you are.
Thank you. I'm Kevin Sloner from Oswego County Opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Deputy Executive Director. I've only been there for about a year and 6 months, but Diane and Gary couldn't come here just to listen to the budget, so I was asked to come. So.
Okay, well, the budget is next week.
Transportation isn't this week?
Yeah, no, we're doing all our budget stuff next week.
Oh, so they gave me 31st. My apologies for being.
Oh, no, well, it was originally, but then we had to change it.
Oh, okay. I never got the memo.
Apparently yes, you didn't get it.
I introduced myself early, so hopefully I don't see you guys next week.
Well, that's fine. I mean, if you'd like to stay, you're more than welcome to stay for our normal meeting, but.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Okay, right into the first resolution. As we all know, last week we did a resolution to set the time and place for this local law. And basically, as we've said in the past, it is a local law that, number one, stipulates that the planning department is the sole one to take all the referrals from the towns, and that, once again, it is the same procedure that we use. The new law is just kind of incorporates more. We're trying to get anything that's coming in, subdivisions, etc. So the county, because as you know, if you have to have a plan, and the plan we're talking about is a comprehensive plan for town and county. Just brings it all together, everybody has knowledge of it. So do I have a motion to discuss?
So moved.
Second, any questions, concerns, anything added?
I just make a note, the plan is that the planning office will be reaching out to the town and village attorneys as soon as this is passed, just to give them the updated information. We have a memo, 2-page memo with a summary of the process is essentially the same, but we thought it'd be a good idea to kind of get up front, make sure we clarified what exactly was happening, if any changes, what they are. Again, very, very little bit. In fact, many of the towns and villages will never even notice a difference. But we're going to get out in front of it. We're going to make sure everybody has prepared for that. And we're also going to offer to do some regional update meetings with the town and village planning boards if they are interested. So that's something we're going to be looking to doing on demand if someone's interested.
For the towns, villages that don't have zoning, are they utilizing the review of the county?
Well, actually, yeah, and that's regardless of whether they have it or not. The 239 review requires that they come to us. We then look at their requirements, what the town or village has passed as their own law, or they verify that they're following county or state rules. So, in the absence of anything at that town level, we would bring forward recommendations. But again, they base on best practices and what we're seeing in other towns and villages.
So these regional meetings will bring together any towns that are interested, and if they don't come, perhaps a summary of what happened at the meeting could be sent to everybody.
Yeah, and we're hoping to partner this with the plan, our upcoming comprehensive plan rewrite. So the planning office wants to make sure that we incorporate interest from all the towns and villages. And so this is kind of be one of our initial outreach opportunities. The plan is to have additional, we thought we'd couple it with this law too, to kind of give people, if they're interested, an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and it's so important for these comprehensive plans. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. If we say comprehensive plans enough times, hopefully we'll get all the towns taken care of. Do I have a motion then to accept this?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, anybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, so moved. EP2, this is just an annual thing. It's a resolution designating the Oswego County Department of Community Development, Tourism and Planning as the sole tourism promotion agency for the County of Oswego for the calendar year of 2024. In order for us to get funds, we must have basically a lead agent, and that would be our community development. Is it normal? Any motion to discuss? Any questions, concerns? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay. Right into reporting. Promotion and Tourism Department.
We're hoping that November 17th is our date for our website. Hopefully by next week we'll have something that's clickable. All of our content is in, all of our locations is in. We're only about 17 days past our deadline, which our deadline we thought in the beginning of it was November 1st. we're hoping that November 17th will be our date when it will be live.
Nice.
We're almost complete with all of our ads for next year, and all of our magazines, you know, all over the country, fishing, birding, camping, etc. So we only have a few more that we're going to subscribe to. We have a campaign at the mall for Christmas trees, in the center video to.
Mall?
The Syracuse Mall.
Just Destiny?
Destiny,
Okay.
sorry, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, there's at the center video board, just sort of to get people down there knowing that there's just less than, just over 20 Christmas tree farms in Oswego County to get their families up here. And we're just getting over our trunk or treat season as numerous volunteer fire departments, the Oswego Speedway. So it seems like everything worked out this weekend, the weather too, especially now that it's snowing today.
4,100 kids showed up.
Yeah, I heard.
How many?
4,100?
4,100 kids got candy.
Excellent. Safe candy.
Yep.
Awesome. You know, I have a question. I may have missed it when I've seen stuff. Do you have anything in there about the Fulton Speedway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we promote that as well. Sure.
Okay. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I drove by it today.
Yeah,
Gee,
Fulton and Brewerton are something that we advertise or promote, shall I say.
Okay. All right. Good.
For
I
sure.
just went for sure. Because I did notice. I remember I mentioned to you the Beaver Lake, not Beaver Lake, Beaver Meadows golfing wasn't in the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could add those, because that is a very prestigious one. People come from a long ways to go to that. It's very expensive to be a member. Yeah. But it's a good course that we would like to advertise that we have that in our county.
Sure.
Okay, is that it? Any other questions? Dan? All right, planning and community development. Mr. Tim, you're on the spot.
All right, wonderful. Well, unfortunately, Heather, well, I don't want to say unfortunately, excitingly, Heather has been asked to speak at New York State Transportation Conference this weekend. The biggest one, I would say the biggest one of the year. DOT specifically requested that she present on some of the work she's done here in Oswego County. So, you know, that's a feather in our cap. She's done an incredible job. That position added by the legislature a few months ago, I think, has really started to pay off. I've got a couple other updates here, but I think everyone in this committee knows very well the work that Heather has done with our county and how big of a problem it has been historically, and how we started to make changes and how we're really getting to a point where we're starting to see some victories. So she asked me to update on just a couple things. These are some really exciting, and if you've been part of it, I know some of the legislators have been part of some of these concerns. We've been able to answer a few of them directly. So the first one I want to talk about is OPT 14, which is Glassback. A very exciting new route that we've been able to add in. I know Heather rode the route yesterday, the entire day. She was on the bus,
Well, yeah,
making
she
sure
always
people.
rides buses. She does.
She does, making sure that everyone understands the process, and you know there was a couple of hiccups as a new route would be, but again it's bringing a new service to some folks that really needed it up in that area. And I don't know if any of the legislators in that area would like to speak to the.
Well, it's evident of her excitement, her energy, and what she's been able to accomplish. I've been at a couple of events where she's been there. She's very well received. She knows what she's talking about. I mean, I'm excited to support her initiatives because I want to keep her motivated. I mean, she's got this thing going the right way. It's actually really exciting for a change.
Yeah, it really
It
is.
is.
Yeah, she was able to, she said that yesterday they were able to pick up 6 Selkirk Landing residents and answer their questions as the process was going through. So I think that was the first time they've been served, or at least on this route. So exciting opportunity there. In addition to that, another concern that anyone in this area probably have already heard about, there was some issues with some of our Fulton residents being able to access Aldi's. The route that was there did not give them access to it. There's a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately that was the issue. Heather was able to work along with Centro and some other local folks to really put together, OCO's been helping out as well, to put together a new call and ride program. They're calling it Shop and Shuttle in Fulton Aldi's. It's the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month. Pickup is at 10:30 and returns at 11:30. And they've actually moved it a little bit because they found, she rode it with them and hung out in Aldi's for the hour and found that they probably need a little bit extra time. And so that's the process. And so this is accessible. This is a great program that's allowing them to be able to do that in partnership with Office of the Aging. So again, really cool opportunity, something that I think people, I know there was a lot of concern about. So this is a way to answer those problems. And from the early returns, everyone's very excited. I know the local legislators in Fulton have been raving about it. So another great win there. Last quick one. I do want to update, and there'll be a further update later this year, but we had some conversations in this committee about the DOT, Department of Transportation, state audit of our program. In the last few years, it's a triannual audit. Every 3 years they come and it's an all day. We sat in this room with DOT, 4 or 5 members of DOT were in here, and they went over everything in our county program. And historically, the last 2 of those audits have not been well received, let me just say. I think that's a fair way to say it.
Yeah, very
And
plainly,
so
right.
one of Heather's first projects when she came in was we were working with the other staff in our office to address the concerns that had been brought up those last 2 audits. They were pretty substantial. And so I'm excited to report that the only findings, and these were very, I forget the term for it, I wish I had it right here, but they were recommendations essentially, and they all had to do with information being posted either on the buses or on OCO's website. We've probably talked in the past about the transportation website. We utilize OCO's website. We've had some conversations about what that would look like going forward or should look like, but that is the current process. And there was some Title VI, which is the federal law that oversees who rides and some disabilities information. If you have concerns, who do you point that out to? Those things have all been updated and have been addressed, and we have put together a response to each of their, I don't say findings, I think that's too strong, but their recommendations. And so we should have an answer back from them in the next couple of weeks, and I fully expect them to be thrilled with this program for probably, it's safe to say, the first time that at least any of the folks that I was working with, one woman had been there for over 20 years. And
Yeah.
they said they were absolutely thrilled with our program. Oswego County has been a concern for them, and they brought that up. And so they were so thrilled to sit here, hear all of our answers. One of the not findings, but one of the recommendations that we do report our transportation budget. I talked to the chairwoman, and the plan is to probably present that at least either semi-annually or quarterly to this committee. Probably it's just a handout unless there's questions, but that was one of the things they recommend, is that budget, where we stand year to date, that information is presented. So we'll be bringing that forward. But ultimately, really a really good overall audit. I'll say that a lot, but
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we were the troubled child. We were the ones that any new auditor came in, they already gave them the red flagged us, because we had so many errors that were not fixed. So now, we're gonna be the star, because we're gonna be so good. So I'm very proud of what has happened there. We all should be very proud that Oswego County has now got it lifted up a red flag and put us up in the top.
One quick addition for transportation is that you will soon see that we put out a bus wrap RFP. And we have awarded we will award to Ewing Graphics. They were the low bidder. And the expectation is we'll start to see our buses. Now again, as a reminder, 8 of the buses that you see driving around the county, the OPT buses, are Oswego County's. It'd be hard to tell that from the way it's logoed up. The OCO is very, very big, and Oswego County is very, very little. The plan is to make sure there's no confusion there, because OCO does have their own buses and their own routes, and so we want to make sure that we know, because the pricing is different. We want to make sure the OPT, our public transit buses, are logoed in a way that makes sense, and that is obvious to people which bus they're riding, and in a way also highlights the fact that this is an Oswego County program, not necessarily an OCO program. They are our vendor. So we're working on all that. I think we're going to be real excited about what comes out of that, but all of our buses will be unique and distinct from the other ones. They'll look a little less like Centro, a little less like other OCO's buses.
I know this wrap thing, at least 5 years has been in the making. It was a tough one, because, and it's one of my bucket list things, that to get it changed, because the OPT, a lot of people thought it is occupational.
Oh, yeah.
You know, not that anybody can, it's the bus that, people has problems can use it. And I said right from the get-go, I didn't know until I came here and got into transportation that, those are, anybody can, I had no idea. So this is a great thing, another thing.
Has the design been completed?
No, I think they just got the RFP,
Yeah,
so.
so we have the award. We're going to be able to work with them to develop what it will ultimately look like. Anyone who'd be interested in that process, if that's a world that you care about, would like to be part of, just let us know. We'll make sure that you are in the loop for the conversation.
Yeah.
And then the last one I have for you is, I know this committee has met out at our Legends Fields complex. Excitingly, if anyone has not been out there, the parking lot has been paved in partnership with our highway department. I really want to highlight the work of our DPW, our highway folks. They did an incredible job. They had the entire parking lot, and it's a huge parking lot. You didn't realize until they paved it. Had the whole thing done in just over 2 days. They did an amazing job, and it really looks as high quality as you'd expect. So I want to thank Director Walker for the work he put in, as well as all his folks. They are also in the process of ripping up the infields and putting in the turf, and so they are at a place where they would like our recommendation. So anyone who cares, if you don't care, that's fine, but if you do, there are 2 options for the color of the turf of our infield, okay? And so I've offered to them that I would, supply it to this committee or anybody else who's interested.
Pass it around.
We'll pass it around, but the options are either a dark brown, as our county attorney has the muckfield color. And then the other one is more of like a southern clay look. Now, again, these are turf, so you're not getting anything in your clothes or anything like that. So these are the two options. If you feel strongly, let me know. I will tell you, I've surveyed about 40 people in this building just to get a feel.
Yeah.
And it's a very strong winner by like 90%. So you can let
Is
me know
what?
what you think, and I'll let you know if you
Okay,
fell in
tell
the
us.
majority. I'll tell you afterwards. If you let me know what you think, I don't want to color any opinions. But anyway, so, and that's that, and the hope will be that will be completed in the next 4 weeks, and so weather dependent, obviously, but it's really very exciting, and the tournament company has already added 2 additional tournaments for next year, and the returns have been, as you can imagine, incredibly positive, so we obviously put this together as a competitive advantage for our fields versus some of the other communities, and we're already starting to see that pay dividends, and all they've shown is pictures of the contractor working, so once it's completed, I'm sure it'll be quite
I
a
already have my opinion as soon as you showed me, so I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. So I'll be curious when we go around, before we leave, we'll see what everybody's is, and then you can tell us if we,
and I'll let you know.
just curious.
You
Okay.
used to be in the minority.
Yeah, I know, but that's great. We have to have a minority, yes.
And that's it.
Nobody, no, we should be all just one stamp. We have to be a little change, like a little different. Okay, any other questions for Tim and the planning department? No? Operation Oswego County updates.
Okay, well, it's gonna be a little bit of Operation Oswego County as well as IDA. I'm gonna take one of those and pass them around. So at our IDA meeting last week, the IDA had approved the 23 annual report. So the IDA runs on a fiscal year that runs from August 1st through July 31st. So we had, it was a busy time preparing annual report as well as all of our audited financial statements and all that fun stuff. So I just wanted to kind of give a couple of highlights, thank you, for the past year. And really the first one I wanted to kind of hit, and it was, this committee was very integral in helping to get it reauthorized, was the recapitalization of the IDA's pilot EDF fund, which was approved by the county legislature with resolution number 338 late last year, which provided 10% of the county's portion of pilot payments back to the IDA for using for eligible economic development purposes. Things like earlier this year we invested $250,000 into the county's sewer district that they built out at the airport, things like that. So it goes to projects that are like partnerships and collaborations, also for acquiring property for things like new industrial parks and for strategic sites, and then also investing in other infrastructure types of projects. So on page 9, if you go to the table there, and you see the total project costs associated with projects assisted by the IDA over the past year, it's $424,534,369. Now, obviously, the major project there that was sort of the big, I call it anchor project, was Novellus, and their major modernization and expansion project out there that was over $300 million alone. But there's several other manufacturing projects. A couple of the ones I wanted to hit was Felix Scholler. Actually, Felix Scholler's doing a ribbon cutting in mid-November. It's going to be a smaller group. They've asked us to send, who from the county should be there, as well as a couple of the local elected leaders and some in Barkley. But they had a project out there that they actually just completed. Added 30 new jobs out there in the town of Richland, and it was over $24 million project. Said before the Novellus. Another one that's a very interesting one that's going to be very helpful for us in economic development going forward is TGJ Properties in town of Valney. That was the acquisition and renovation of the former Miller Brewery warehouse facility. We are already talking with multiple companies that are looking at that space, because there's really no space that's out there ready to go prior to Micron coming in. There's 800,000 square foot there, 700,000 square foot in the main building, and another 100,000 in an annex building. And so as it says here, new jobs projected 45, it's probably gonna be a multiple of 10 higher than that, 10 or higher, because the types of projects that are looking out there are manufacturing projects that would create a lot of jobs. So that was a great project for the IDA to be involved in earlier this year. Some other highlights that I wanted to mention is that there's been 2 new IDA members. Mark Greco joined last year, as well as Trisha Peter Clark, who's president of ConnexCare, has joined. And we anticipate there will be some openings in next few months for new additional IDA members. So we're already in discussions with county leadership of where they would like to see that go for new IDA members. So in terms of it was a good year. I think that we were very active. We are looking to, one of the things I didn't provide here is that we are getting more active, and I should have I had it in my bag, left it out in the car, is that last week actually, I was at Site Selectors Guild event, which is site selectors are really the professionals that like large corporate entities hire to look for relocations and expansions for them. So we were at this event last week, meeting with 28 different site selectors and really trying to promote and push Oswego County as a location for places to look to do business. And one of the really cool things about that process was they did an event called Table Talk. And Table Talk is pretty much, it's like speed dating for economic development. You pretty much have a site selector come to your table and you have about 5 minutes with them, and then you gotta be able to tell them everything about your community and why that they should locate there. And from the start of that to the end of it, and so like I said, you meet with 28 people over 2 days, your pitch becomes very honed and refined, and really it came down to, you've heard about the $100 billion Micron investment that's happening. We are 5 minutes away, and the same reasons that Micron decided to spend $100 billion is the same reason you should come here. We have access to almost unlimited water and access to almost unlimited power. And that really got people's attention in terms of, wow, okay, that's interesting. And also we have over 1,000 acres between industrial parks and strategic sites that we are aggressively pushing, marketing, and developing here in Oswego County. So, there's a lot of things going on. A couple other things I wanted to mention. The last few days have just been a blur because last week, so we had the IDA meeting last week. From there, we had to go to regional planning, or not regional planning was happening, as well as Regional Economic Development Council. We are sort of finalizing our plan for $10 million for the regional challenge, which I've talked before about. Is going to be a sort of a micro grant program to help to attract people to Central New York, to retain people, and to do career advancement and assistance. We also went through the Village of Phoenix, New York Forward and determined really the 19 projects that are going to be pushed forward to the state for funding. $6.25 million of projects going for $4.5 million. So we wanted to make sure that we kept our scope tight for that, to make sure that we kind of maximize the local control over that process. If you go there and you give them $8 million of projects, you give the state a lot more discretion to which projects to choose. So we decided to go in with closer to the bottom end of that, so we can really try to push the projects we want to have. Another thing that's been going on is that 4 Oswego County communities were submitted for New York Forward DRI, and so the last yesterday and Friday was scoring. There's 13 communities total across Central New York, and 4 of those were from Oswego County. So it was very good to see that we were really overrepresented, in terms of the communities that are looking to try to revitalize their downtowns, add jobs and investment. So
Do we know what communities they are?
I'm not at liberty to share. I can say that. Well, I'll share who the communities are, because it's past the point that we did it. So it was Village of Mexico, Village of Parrish, Village of Pulaski, and then a joint application between Brewerton on the Oswego County side and Brewerton on the Onondaga County side, which was a unique sort of not just intermunicipal but inter-county
Interesting.
proposal. So
Yeah.
so those were the 4 that were pushed forward. So
Okay.
it was very good to see those come forward. So
Did you review their
Yep.
applications at all?
New York
So,
Forward.
I'm on the scoring committee, so I reviewed them as part of that process, but unfortunately, the way that this is only the second year they've done sort of this DRI New York Forward, and we were not notified with enough time to really assist some of the communities that put forward what we call a letter of interest. So the first part is you put together a letter of interest saying you want to submit. From that, in the past anyway, ESD has reached out to the counties to let them know so that they can put them in touch with, and that didn't, we were aware of some of them, but we weren't aware of all of the ones that were going forward. So I knew of 2 of the ones that were going forward. I didn't know the other 2.
Were representatives of the 4 entities, did they attend your conference at the conference center, the informational,
3 of them did.
3 of them did?
Yeah, and there was another event that we did a little bit later. Myself and Mayor Barlow participated in a New York Forward DRI workshop to kind of show some of the best practices and lessons learned. So some of the communities that are thinking about participating, and I believe that all 4 of the ones that went from Oswego County were part of that. So that was helpful for them to kind of understand, hey, this is how a successful community has done it, and then in some of the other cases between both Fulton and Phoenix, these are some of the things to be a watch out for and understand that they've had to deal with some obstacles. So it's helpful from that perspective.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of things going on, and as I said before, the one of the things that we've been pushing the last 4 months or so, and I want to get on schedule pretty much for every warm weather month going into the future seasonally, is we're going to be doing at least 1 ribbon cutting, potentially 2 per month for projects. So the last one we're probably doing for this year is going to be the Felix Scholler ribbon cutting up in the town of Richland, and that's going to be, I believe it's on November 15th. I need to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the date is for that. They're sending out the invitations on that. We provided them everybody they should send it to, so they're kind of running the show on that one. But it's good stuff, and just really excited to continue to see what we can push forward and do. So one thing I wanted to address that I know that Paul and Mary Ellen brought up last time. So with our reporting that we're doing, our economic development reporting, earlier this year I switched from doing a monthly full-on report to doing a quarterly report, and then now that we have Nate in-house, I'm looking to try to create a more of like I'm calling it like a Cliff Notes monthly version of it, because some of the complaints I'd had in the past was that it has a lot of information, but it's very dense and it's hard to sometimes get through. So my plan is to have the quarterly report be sort of the dense, have all the stuff in it, and then the monthly one be sort of the, okay, I can catch up on what's going on, and then you're not
That's
having
a great idea, it really is. It keeps us informed as to what's
Yeah,
going on, and
so-
some of the stuff was redundant every single time. It was pages that, it's the same you had every month. So
It was a question I'd always had about that too, and there were reasons that it was done that way from Mike's perspective, but between technology and other things, it's not necessary for me to do it that way.
Yeah.
So is that gonna be email or?
It can be both ways, whatever you prefer to have it. So there's gonna be, like I said, there's gonna be a new monthly report going out, and then there is already a quarterly, and I don't know why you guys didn't get that, but you will be getting it going forward.
Okay.
Probably the same problem Mike had, it was, my address was 46 Union Street, Oswego, instead of Hastings.
Oh, okay,
Well, we got that straightened out.
alright, well, I'll get it figured out on that.
One thing I wanted to add is that with the Phoenix, they sent forth, how many, 12, 16
What's that?
to the state? How many were they?
Projects?
Yeah.
So they originally started with 23, and it was about $13 million in requests to start. We were able to skinny a lot of projects down, and there were a couple eliminated, so we got down to, I believe it was 19 projects.
19 projects.
Yes.
And the interesting thing I found about that is we send these 19 projects to the state, but they won't let us prioritize.
No.
So you can't say, this is the one that we really
Right.
want.
If you're gonna
start
cut
at the top.
these ones, yeah, they won't
Yeah,
let you
they
do that.
won't let you do that, and I don't understand. That's information that we're saying, you may not understand our ambiance or where we're coming from, and
That's why
That
I
was
had
tough.
proposed that we get the list down as much as possible, so we give the state less flexibility which projects to cut.
yeah,
Cause if you give them, cause they said, well, give us $6 to $8 million in projects, and I said, well, a lot of people were like, well, it's $8 million, then we don't have to be the bad guys. I'm like, well, the problem is you're letting the state really dictate who gets funded at that point. If
Yeah.
you give them 6.25 like we did, we know who's gonna get funded, and there's a couple of them that are sort of iffy,
yeah.
but I think
Yeah,
it was the
that
best
was,
way to do
that
that.
was the thing that I just didn't understand, very frustrating, but.
I had a quick question.
Yes.
Is there anything happening or any activity on the Meadowbrook and Hannibal? Remember we
So,
talked briefly
yeah,
about that
so there
recently?
was a project that, you probably were familiar with who was looking to go in there. It was a group called Wellhouse Ministries with the
Yes.
Anthony House. They were gonna go in, and then what happened, I mean, I think they had done like an inspection within a week of when they were supposed to close, and they identified mold
Oh,
and other
okay.
significant issues that wasn't in there when they had last looked at it. I guess there had been some flooding in the basement. And because of that, they wanted to renegotiate the deal, and the deal
Okay.
ultimately.
I didn't know that you were involved in that deal. I thought maybe you were involved.
We are working with the group that was gonna do it is actually out of the incubator. They have an office space at our incubator facility, so we work with them, you know, if not monthly, quarterly, to kind of help them to develop their, we call it graduation plan of getting out of the space. So they've looked at about 6 or 7 different sites overall, and that was gonna work for them, but unfortunately, because of the environmental condition of the building, because of the mold and things, that they had to pull back. So at this point, I'm not sure what the next plan is for both them or for that facility.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? No? Just a reminder that we do, oh, Tim,
I just wanted to put one out, we have there'll be a public hearing. The plan is to have a public hearing at the beginning of the legislative meeting. According to Rich, it did not need to come through for a resolution to this committee. It is required by the CDBG for that farm worker employee program that you've been hearing about, and for a year, 2 years. It will be closing out, and so one of the requirements from CDBG is that when you close it out, you do a final public hearing. So it's a great requirement. Typically, people do not speak at these. We will be available to do it, but ultimately, I want to give a quick report on that. We did end up having 2 farms in our county that were willing to take advantage of the program. It did require a bit out of them, and so we originally had 3. 2 of those 3 dropped out. The requirements were a little more than they were willing to be part of. There was some safety and some other things that we really required, the federal government required they do to get the CDBG funds. Thankfully, we were able to find a second, so we had 3, 2 dropped out. We were able to find a second one, Fruit Valley Orchard here in Oswego town, and Baling Orchard was the first one that did go through. So ultimately, we were able to do quite a bit of work, really improve the living situation for the folks who are working on those farms, as well as some of the just overall benefit to those farms. So I think overall it's a great program. Anybody's who's interested to get some more information, again, we'd love to share it. But the program will be, my guess is it'll be, no one will speak to it, but just so you know what that's about, that will be going on Thursday's meeting.
I want to just clarify one thing too, for in the event someone doesn't understand. So these projects that are here listed are specifically projects that receive financial assistance. That wasn't the only projects we worked on during the year. It's just we were required, and it's part of our annual report and for our audited financials, to specifically list projects that had received an actual a value of financial assistance. An operation in Oswego County over the past year was involved in 39 projects. So any project that, and just for those who may not be aware, any project that the IDA does, Operation Oswego County is also involved in because of the support staff that supports the IDA. But not every project that Operation Oswego County is involved in is an IDA project. Just in the event that comes up as ever a question, I'm more than happy to explain the nuances between the organizations and how one supports the other.
yeah, that's always been a contention of confusion.
Understood.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, before we close the meeting, I just wanna remind everybody, next Tuesday, we meet again at 9 o'clock, and I just hope we can get through it in 2 hours, because it's all of the budgets from all the different
I'm pretty
things.
sure it's Wednesday. not
It is
Tuesday.
You're right, it is, thank you, it is Wednesday, because Tuesday is
Right.
our elections. So it'll be Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and right here, and as I say, it's, expect to be here the full time.
Is there anything that we can do preceding that to prepare, that if there's maybe some questions that you know, as you know, legislators are reviewing it, if there's any interest in asking ahead of time, any questions, not that I'm not comfortable presenting during that meeting, but if there's anything ahead of time that there's a question for, we could even prepare maybe answers in advance that could help streamline the
Good
process.
question.
So if anyone is interested, I'm assuming that you've been provided the information you're gonna be reviewing, or,
Not yet.
okay, all right.
I'm
I'd like to
guessing
know
we'll
If
get
there's
that
any
tomorrow,
questions.
I'd like to know,
Wednesday night.
I'd like to
at
know,
caucus.
go ahead.
Will we get it at Wednesday night at caucus?
Yeah, but I'd, maybe report on your, end of year, budget number, where you are, how you came in, on budget, under budget. Could go a long ways to, if you're asking for increases, justifying that.
Yeah,
Or what you could do to save money next.
hopefully you've all, and if you haven't seen it, anyone would like to speak to us ahead of time, but my understanding and my belief is that there is almost across all 4 of the departments that I oversee that you'll be reporting to, I don't believe there's any substantial increases at all. I think, we can talk about it more, but feel free to reach out if you have questions. I'll have that prepared. And I believe you should have access to the year-to-date numbers as well.
We have access to the year-to-date where we are now, but it's kind of like, where you at, where you going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet. I do also expect to be requesting an executive session at that meeting, so.
Okay, even better. Well, I do know before, we have had it where a meeting ran over, and sometimes we would move to another room to complete our meeting, so the other meeting can come in, because another meeting starts at 11. So we are kind of right into 2 hour, but I know that there's gonna be a lot of people reporting, so just, bring a lunch, just kidding. Okay, have a motion to close the meeting?
Move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Good meeting, guys, thank you so much.
Okay, so if you were curious,